Tip number 1. I calculated that if you never ride your bike outside and just ride a trainer indoors, then your helmet will last longer. Of course, I'm kidding. I'm going to give you 5 actual tips to ensure that your helmet lasts as long as it safely can. Helmets must be replaced if you crash or somehow crack your helmet. There's also compelling evidence that helmets expire after a variable period of time, and I made an entire video about that. So if you're interested, click up here to watch that video and learn about helmet expiration. But in this video, I'll give you 5 tips on how to ensure that your helmet lasts so that you can save money, ride safely, and also not be wasteful. The first tip, and in my opinion, the most important tip, is to store your helmet safely on the ground when you're stopped for a mid-ride coffee break, a nature break, or doing a lap of your local Circle K. A simple drop of 2 to 3 feet is enough force to make small cracks in your helmet. They might not be visible, but they do compromise your helmet's safety performance in the event of a head collision during a crash. It's so easy for you or someone else to knock your helmet over if you store it on a tabletop or strap it onto your bike. I'm sure every bike owner has accidentally dropped their bike at least once, and you wouldn't want to have your helmet strapped onto it when it slams the cobblestones of Café Roubaix. This first tip is probably the easiest to adopt, so next time you're on a ride and you're stopped, think helmet equals ground. If you ever find yourself bringing your bike with you on a flight, then you will need to store your bike in a bike bag or bike box. It is highly recommended to not put your helmet within that box. This is simply because the box will be bumped around during the loading, flight, and unloading, and this can create the opportunity for your helmet to get bumped around and eventually crack. It might seem a bit odd to be carrying around your helmet on the plane and in the airport, but at least you can brag about the cool trip that you might be going on or just came from, instead of being awkwardly pressed against a stranger while avoiding eye contact and conversation. Tip number 3 is about long-term storage of your helmet. Don't store it near heat or near cold. Take the time and effort to store your helmet properly to ensure that it lasts for as long as possible. Don't store the helmet near a heat or light source, as the heat can warp the foam and degrade the glue. So practically this means don't store your helmet next to a window, as the prolonged sunlight can degrade the EPS foam and the shell. Also, don't store your helmet next to a heater or baseboard, as the direct heat is clearly not what the helmet is designed for and will eventually warp the helmet. Perhaps surprisingly, it's actually recommended to not store your helmet long term in your car. In the summer and in the winter, cars parked outside can get to extreme temperatures. This again can impact the foam and the glue in the helmet. Maybe one day Tesla will create a helmet car mode similar to the ones that they have for dogs. Do store your helmet inside, potentially on a bottom shelf or even directly on the ground. It might be smart to actually put your helmet in one of these dust bags if it's included in the purchase. However, it is wise to air out your helmet first after a sweaty ride before putting it in one of these bags. Otherwise, it'll smell really bad. Building off of the last tip, it is smart to not store your helmet in your garage. The fumes from any chemicals in your garage, as well as car exhaust, can impact the glue in the helmet over prolonged periods of time. This tip is potentially a little bit weak, since the likelihood that the fumes will impact your helmet before your helmet actually expires seems pretty slim. But hey, it's just a bit of fume for thought. Lastly, we have tip number 5, which is to simply clean your helmet on a regular basis. This simple action of cleaning your helmet can prevent the oils and sweat from your head from degrading the glue in the helmets. The science behind this is up for debate, but at the very least, it'll help prevent your helmet from smelling. And this is actually probably pretty good because I just convinced you to store your helmet inside. It is recommended to wash your helmet following these steps: using warm water, gently spraying it down. A garden hose works just fine. Not using soap, again up for debate, but if you insist, do not use a heavy-duty cleaning detergent like WD-40 for example. And finally, try removing the foam pads if they come off and washing those in soap separately. Also, if your helmet comes with replacement foam, try replacing the foam after a few years. To conclude this video, helmets get pricey and it never seems like a smart idea to go cheap on your helmet. So hopefully these 5 tips will help make sure that your expensive helmet will last a little bit longer. Thank you for watching, and if you are interested in any route and race recaps, product reviews, repair tutorials, and informative video essays, please consider slapping that subscribe button.